Hello, hello, and welcome to the next episode of my podcast, and welcome here on YouTube channel as well. And today I have a wonderful special guest, Evelyne Brink, and she's gonna really entertain us and tell us about herself. So just a brief information about from me, how I met Evelyne. So we have been working with the same mentor and coach for the last 12 months. So quite a long time. In the meantime, we went on a retreat, we were meeting, and it was quite a journey, and we learned a lot, grew a lot as well. And yes, so I have a pleasure to talk to Evelyne today on the podcast and introduce her to you. So Evelyne, can you tell us about yourself and tell us, what do you do? Who are you?
Yeah, hello. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. And welcome to all the wonderful listeners that are joining us today for some inspiration, motivation, life aliveness, and expressing yourself with more pleasure. That's what we're going to talk about in this episode.
Yeah.
And my name is Evelyne Brink. I can talk for England, which I will not do because we want to make sure we provide as much value as we can for your listeners. But to put it in a nutshell, I come from the performance world. I'm somebody who always wanted to express herself. I have a lot of vitality in me, a lot of drive to show off on stage in front of other people, which apparently is not something everybody wants to do. And so I've been on stages doing singing and dancing and songwriting and stand-up comedy and doing solo shows from the age of 18, 19 in the theaters and in corporate events. And I got into coaching in my mid-20s from performance coaching, confidence coaching, stage performance coaching, singing coaching. The doctor said I wasn't going to sing because I had a dysfunctional voice, and I became a global singer. They told me I wouldn't be able to dance anymore because I hurt my ankles, and I've been dancing around the world. I became best known as Europe's premier Madonna impersonator at one point. I've had record deals with Sony Music, so I'm somebody who's made a lot of impossible happen. When people said you can't do it, I'm like, yeah, you watch me. And I've been coaching for over 20 years now. I went from this performance confidence coaching into transformational coaching, and now have developed my practice into impact coaching, life coaching, and business by pleasure coaching. So the thread under every coaching work that I do is helping people to find their aliveness, helping people to find their expression. And what that means is you have to find the yes to yourself and the willingness to bring that out into the world. And now I know that a lot of women nowadays struggle with that because there's a lot in the way. And one of my big missions is to end the chronic insecurity culture, because I see too many women suffer from this chronic insecurity, which is really, it's cultural. And and I had enough of it. I don't like this unnecessary suffering. I don't like seeing people trapped in their own shells, not having a sense of purpose, not having the sense of aliveness. Just somehow your light gets dimmed. Too many duties, too much. Well, you know what life is, resignation. And so it's my mission to free people out of that. I bring quite a lot of energy into the room where I can. Now, having said that, I'm also very much a human being and I'm a mother. And that doesn't mean we're going to be rah-rah in this session or in any session, really, because you can be low energy, up and down like any other person. And so I'm too. So I just want to put that right up front when I say, I bring a lot of energy and let's be alive. It can feel a bit tiring to some. Don't worry, let's relax. It's all good, right? I take a very, very human approach to this. I'm a mother of two, wonderful children, of course, like the best. And both of my children have been born with health challenges. My son is the first known survivor to ultra short gut syndrome to this extent. In other words, he doesn't have a small intestine. He can't process any food, and he's artificially fed. So I run a mini hospital from home. I'm a carer and a nurse to my son. My daughter was born with 4 heart defects. Most of them have healed, so she's kind of normal now. But I've been through quite a lot over the last 10 years. My son is almost 11. And I'm a single parent here in London. It's like choose a better place to be, or a harder place to be a single parent. It's like, oh, geez. Anyway, so very human.
Yes.
If your listeners know exhaustion and overwhelm, yes,
Yeah.
I relate. Me too. If your listeners know what it feels like to be utterly drained and have no will to, well, anything really anymore, I can completely relate. And if your listeners are just wonderful people with this hope in their heart and the glint in their eyes that they know there is more available to them, they know that is more possible, and they want this more thing, then I think we're all in the right room. And I'll be delighted to bring as much sparkle and invigoration to everyone listening here as we possibly can.
Yeah, brilliant. That's what we're looking for, because I think you are a fantastic example of actually what can be done, right? And also that life is dual, and you can definitely read that through your messages about that duality of life, right? So we can have really a fantastic energetic days, but sometimes we just need to take a break. So what do you do on those low energy days? What is something that you allow yourself or you want to do, just and then come back on track into inspiration? I found that is a roller coaster with the business and with the family life and with everyone else who may not necessarily understand what you're doing, right?
Yeah,
They're thinking that you're crazy.
It's a really good question, Monica. I like it. And what I want to do, I want to preface it with a little bit of bragging, because when I listen to people speak and then giving advice of what they do, I'm always thinking, and who are you to tell me again?
Right.
So for anyone who thinks along those lines, just like me, I'm going to give you a couple of things so you know, oh, that's why she's talking about this. So
yeah,
I've had record deals with Sony Music. I've been touring around the world. I've got these two amazing kids that I raised by myself. I run a 6-figure business. I went from 0 to 6 figures in 3 to 4 months within a pandemic with no help at home. So that's where we got the overwhelm piece from. I've come from an artistic background, as I already mentioned, and managed to be entrepreneurial. I'm the author of 3 books.
Right.
3 books, 2 kids, 1 business, 5 boyfriends,
and a life to live, right?
And then 1 life to live, and the 5 boyfriends. That was the joke, just in case the current man hears this. Okay, so that's just as a little thing. And I've worked in corporations. I work with leaders in the corporate world and in the coaching world, and then the question begets, like, when on earth do you have time for this? How do you do that?
Right, exactly.
On your down days, this sounds like you've always got full of, you're so full of energy. There you go. And when you do this, you've written a TEDx talk, you've done all these things, when, how, and so on. And so I think this is a really important reality to discuss, because what you see on the outside is not what happens on the inside, right? I've got a lot of down days, and just like recently, today I'm quite tired. I hadn't slept much last night, but that's for happy reasons. And in the last couple of days, I was kind of, when you're just out of function, you just can't concentrate, can't do anything, those days. So I have quite a lot of them. And sometimes that worries me. And when I have a clear space, I know that it's completely normal. And every woman on the planet has these days, because it turns out we're cyclical creatures. And that's not just our period. We also just have phases where it's just not that productive.
No.
So what do? I have learned to take myself out of the game as quick as possible. Like, if I don't feel very good, I'm trying not to push through anymore. And in my head, immediately, it sounds a bit lazy, and I feel quite brave admitting this, right? Because you should still get on with it, shouldn't you? You should still do your thing. Like, okay, you're not feeling that great, but make sure you get your shit done. And what I call business by pleasure philosophy is like, well, you know what? What if I could trust myself? What if I could trust myself and do what feels right in the moment? I mean, just what if? Just what if?
Yeah.
And on a day like yesterday, I would probably just do what felt right in the moment, which absurdly for me was tidying up. Now, anybody who knows me And they were like, oh my God, wow, that's amazing, Evelyne. Tidying up. I'm terrible with tidying up. And it takes me months to clear a space. Just because there's so many other more important things. Isn't it interesting though? I wasn't able to work, but I was totally okay tidying up. That was like, I just wanted to tidy up. I'm like, leave me alone. I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to tidy up my space. Well, if I trusted myself, I could just do that thing.
Yeah.
And so I did that thing. And then I did an awful lot of doing, as I call it, the sweet FA. Fuck off. And if I could trust myself, wouldn't that be amazing? And the day before, I wasn't very productive either, apparently. This is my mind. And I sat and I just wanted to sit down in silence. And I don't know about you, you lovely listener, how often do you manage to sit down in silence for more than 2 minutes? It's called meditation. And for most of us, it's quite a challenge.
Right. Yeah.
All I wanted to do that day was sit down in silence. So if I could trust myself, I would just do that thing, which I then did. And I allowed myself to just sit in fucking silence for half an hour. On another day, this would be called an achievement because I managed to do a 30-minute meditation. Right? On the lazy day, it's just, I just needed to just sit and quiet and just leave me alone. And I guess I didn't do very much. Well, actually, I did a meditation, which is amazing on it from another view, right? I find it fascinating. And in that meditation, interestingly enough, I had an insight. I came up with the 4 pillars of speaking.
Yeah.
And it was a really clear, like the 4 pillars of speaking: speak up, speak out, speak true, speak free, speak true. And I got the whole what it means and why this is so important. Like, this is the foundation. If you want to become an impactful speaker, an impactful leader, you need to master those 4 pillars. And that's exactly what I teach. Like, first, the willingness to actually speak up and say what needs to be said. That's a big deal. Then the second one is the skill to actually make yourself heard in a world of noise. That's a big skill. It's huge. We're not born with it.
No.
Then when you can do that, to speak free, which means you're able to adjust your tone, your message, where you are in the moment, in the spotlight when others are watching you. That's my favorite piece to work on. And I work with, I've got some people in the entertainment industry, shall we say, that's mildly put, on TV presenting, and somebody, who's pitching film pitches to agencies, and that big glamorous stuff. And it's such a challenging environment to be yourself in, because there's so many unspoken expectations. So speak free is the ability to be in a room with strangers, notice they're not following me, and going, wow, you're not following me. Where did I lose you? Just the message. Like, oh, I lost you at the idea where the elephant walks alongside the car. Okay, tell me why. Is that far out in your mind? Okay, got it. So here's my rationale. Or fine, forget about it. Let's talk about sausages instead. That's speaking free, to have that kind of mental flexibility to be present in a space. Okay, it's massive. It's massive. And then speak true is really advanced level, is where you have access to the truth of your heart, and you can download wisdom and insight on the spot in front of other people to deliver it straight to their soul, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah.
So this was the insight that came through. And I'm like, if you were to write your message or make a powerful post, do you come up with that kind of stuff?
You sometimes have to step back, right?
You have to step back for this to come through. Now I can very confidently, easily speak of the 4 pillars of public speaking and the 4 skills you need to master in order to be an impactful leader. Because I let myself do nothing that day.
Yeah.
And sat down and trusted myself in that moment to just do nothing. And I sat, and then this just came through, and who knows, this might make me millions. It probably will over time, actually, because it's part of my message.
I think very clever idea, because I think everyone can assess themselves where they are on their public speaking journey, right? Through the 4 pillars, right? Because sometimes, I would think like, I love public speaking as well, but I find this quite stressful when I go out and I lose my audience. I just don't, you don't follow me, right? I feel like you're not listening. You're not necessarily, you basically lose that rapport, and which is important with the audience, right? And I just feel like I lost it. I lost you somewhere and I need to go back, but you're so stressed and your mind goes to freeze.
Yes.
That how do you find it, right? How do you find it and stand back in your power, because
Yeah.
you have the stage, right, for people to,
That's a real big deal.
to connect.
Yes. And stand-up comedy is a great, intense platform to learn that kind of stuff, because you will bomb. Bombing is you die on stage. I mean, that's beautiful language. And you watch other people die on stage, and you can see it when when a human being shuts down in front of you. You can see it, smell it, you can feel it, and it's terrible. And us women are really good at shutting down. Like when we get stressed, when we get fearful, we shut down, we close up, and we will not let you into our tender heart. We have to protect ourselves. We're so, and we are often at threat, so there's so much trigger points, so many trigger points for us to just close down and become the public version of ourselves. And that's not the version that connects the best. So to learn to free yourself up, to make yourself feel so safe in front of other people that you access this capacity to move confidently in those spaces. Well, that is my specialty area. I absolutely love liberating people or helping them to liberate themselves. It's not like I put a spell on people and there you are liberated. Work with me, you shall be liberated. You are now healed.
I think it takes practice, like everything, right? So and then when you work with somebody, obviously they believe in you, so you have that massive support that you can definitely do it.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of training, practice, support, willingness, and just the right kind of guidance.
I think the visibility piece is such a big part for people. Like public speaking is like, I think you mentioned this in your TED talk about the visible thing. Like sometimes we build identities for ourselves and we come on the stage like somebody else completely. And then that's very difficult to maintain, right? Yes. Whereas when you can become more authentic, right? And how you want to connect with your audience, sometimes through vulnerability, right? Yeah. I saw people crying on stage. It's like different things, right? But it depends on your level, how you want to, I guess, deliver. But I think this being authentic piece is, I think it's sometimes overused, like how we can be more authentic, but then we don't want to be authentic.
What is that? Authentic. Yeah. Authentic.
I know. What is that? So I usually have keywords for a year, and one of it was being the authentic. But I think through the year, I've developed what that means for me, right?
What does it mean for you, Monica? What does it mean for you?
So what does it mean? Right, yes. So I'm still looking for the right definition, because I said, like, I will never be, what it means for me really is to show up on bad and good days in a way that feels good. Sometimes it doesn't feel in a way that I guess sometimes I step back and I don't do nothing, but sometimes I want to share my pain. So this year my dad died, and I did show up for my audience, sharing how I felt, and I often cried. And I thought, and I hadn't had any makeup or any kind of sparkly thing. So for me, authentic is being on various spectrum and still serving your audience in a way that feels good, and sometimes not serving them because you need that time for yourself.
I love that. I love that you include the piece of and sometimes not serving them.
Yeah, because like
where we become obsessed with showing up. Yeah. It's like, if you show up, you're doing it right. And really, so if I do a TikTok even at my dad's funeral, then I'm good? Please. Yeah. Step back, everyone. Let's have privacy. But I love that your definition of authentic includes it's allowing myself to show up on good and bad days, and also sometimes not to serve.
Yes, not to serve.
That's to be real, because if my desire is, you know what, I actually don't want to serve, then for crying out loud, isn't it just generous and honest and real to just not do it? I don't want to see more people serving me, apparently, when they don't want to. It's terrible.
It's terrible.
I'm here showing up for you. Stop that self-sacrifice nonsense.
Exactly. And I think that is also developing the pleasure in business, right? The pleasure, kind of the fun. Like, I can have the time for myself without any guilt and shame that I'm not showing up, right? Or whatever, because I'm taking that time to step back. And that definitely, and that wasn't the definition at the beginning of the year. because I thought that I need to show up no matter what.
I want to throw a piece in for you and all the listeners, which I have a feeling will relate to this. If you don't, write a complaint to Monica at links below and just tell them this is the biggest.
There's a complaint book.
But if you like it, then let her know that this was what you needed to hear. Let's talk about self-martyrdom amongst women and the definition of a good woman.
Yeah.
Right. So we grow up as good girls. The good girl phenomenon will be familiar to most people. Then we're like, well, I'm a woman now, so it's fine. And I don't have to be a good girl anymore because I'm a grown-ass woman. And the next thing you'll find is you're playing to the conditioning and the rules of the good woman.
Yeah.
I wrote a song. I want to finish it now that I'm talking about it. It's like, yeah, I'm a good woman, always putting others in front of myself. I'm a good woman.
Yeah.
Always thinking of everyone else. I'm a good woman, living my life through everyone else but me. Something like that, right?
Brilliant.
And then it's like, damn good woman. Because it's sad that everyone gets to be in front of me, and that the idea that I give up myself for you, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. At least I served my audience on the good days and the bad days. I was there for you. I was there for my family. I am a good mother. I am a good mother to my children. I know it's hard for me, but I'm always there for them. Oh, and I'm a loving, wonderful wife. Here lies Evelyne, a wonderful, loving wife who always was there present for her husband in good times and in bad. Whether anyone else cared or not, I was there for him, people. I served. Oh, I was a good woman. She's a good woman, that one. Always caring about everyone. And it makes me want to scream, what about you?
Right, absolutely.
I'm bringing this in because in the context of business or building your business, whether it's a side hustle or your main business, how much are you sacrificing yourself? Oh, it's a Tori Amos thing, right? Why do we sacrifice ourselves? Do you know that one? Every day, sacrifice myself. And nothing I do is good enough for you. Sacrifice myself. It's a wonderful song from Tori Amos. It's I think it describes the female condition.
It does massively. And, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I have a lot of that conditioning with me. I know.
Yeah.
And I mean, the number of different words I heard from my husband over the last few years is like, come on, you can't really think that. But then
he was giving you compliments about how wonderful you are.
Well, not only that.
Educate him. That's the only acceptable.
That's the way I said. I've trained myself in emotional intelligence. I said I'm not going to obviously. He wasn't like bad to me or anything. But some of the words hurt, right? They really hurt, and it's just. And I wanted to process, and I was just educating, right? And educating, although it wasn't easy at the very beginning, but I was educating. But I've never been prepared for the journey like that, right? And I've never been. I'm not like an example of a mom who is always at the school gates and all doing like I don't,
Good for you.
I just feel like, I'm still there for her if she needs me, but I'm not really feeling guilt that I just only have short but good quality time. And I mean, this is another episode, to be honest, about the motherhood and how to untangle ourselves from all of this conditioning and not really feeling the shame and guilt. Because quite often what happens in the business as well, what I've heard, I'm doing this for my family, right?
Oh yeah, oh, such a good woman.
Yeah, I'm such a good woman. I'm doing this for family. I'm doing this for more time with my family. And then you spend years and years sitting in front of the computer and not really having a lot of time for them. And then when you have time, they don't appreciate that. So I think it's just, there's something wrong somewhere.
I think you described it perfectly well. And so this is why I wanted to bring it in, because next time if you go through your life and you think, oh my God, I'm such a good woman, question it. Am I doing the good woman thing? Or, and because the next thing is like, so what's the alternative? Are you telling us to just throw it all up and then be bitches everywhere?
Yeah.
Bitches. No, that's not the opposite of that. The healthy version of the good woman is the woman who cares about her needs.
Yes.
What do I need right now? And if what I need right now is a break. Have you seen, there's these ads, these really fun ads on what you need. You're suffering from parenting and you need a fucking break. A fucking break is recommended for mothers. Blah, blah, blah. It's really funny. Anyway, sometimes you just need a fucking break. Sometimes you just need to step back. Sometimes you just need to not spend so much time with your family and let daddy take the kids or someone else and I love going to the spa personally. I need a lot of time for myself. I need a lot of time and a lot of space and time for myself. And I love saying it like it's the most, well, I need a lot of time for myself. I'm a single mom. You heard me in the beginning.
Right.
Running a business. My family depends on me. I have no support from my ex-husband. I do it all my own. And then I'm saying, oh, I just need a lot of space to myself. And it's like, who are you kidding, Evelyne? Well, I'm kidding myself if I don't take it.
Right.
Because if I don't give myself that space that I need, I run dry, I get tired, like exhausted, like I've been last week. Because that's what's happened. Evelyne has gone full throttle and gone like, oh, I'm going to do all these things. And then I run out of juice. Yes. I need a lot of space, whether I think I can have it or not. But if I don't give it to myself, then my body will rebel. And so will yours, lovely listener, right? So, lovely listener. Therefore, this is really useful to look at, am I sacrificing myself or am I attending to my needs? Women have a tendency to self-abandon. And it's time that we wake up, sisters, that we wake up and take care of ourselves.
Yes.
Take care of ourselves first. And that means we set a really good example for our children as well. I don't want my daughter to grow up and self-abandon as well. I don't want my son to think that women are there to do everything for him. Yes. So in a way, that is good parenting. And it's the challenge is to get over this guilt and shame and self-healing.
It's massive.
I can do things without having that, which I think is amazing. I have guilt, mommy guilt. It's a real thing for me. And higher expectations and disappointments that I can't be like this or like that and the other. You know what? That's all really real. So for me, this is part of the acceptance piece. We're developing something new. We're in a generation where we're daring to stand up and develop something new. And so we'll go through transition times that feel intense. And what if that was okay?
Yes.
What if that was okay?
It definitely is a lot of to think about, but I think also process the feelings and all of that. And I think to a certain extent, it never go away because there will be always somebody reminding you.
Isn't that so handy? It's not very grateful personally, but it's great to know that don't have to remember because something in life will always remind you.
They will always remind you about it. And I just feel like, anyway, but I think
that was question one.
Exactly. But yeah, I think we are here in the same kind of thing because one of the, just to finish on that subject, you know, I think our mentor, she mentioned that, you know, a lot of mothers sign up for coaching because they just run out of steam and they are this. And the simple advice was, you need a self-care. You need to go to, or you can go to the hairdresser to do this and this. There are no special tools. If you don't make that time for yourself, you're always going to be tired and you will always be run out of steam. And there is nothing very sophisticated. Yes, there is this shame and guilt and the mindset piece as well. But I thought like, it's a simple advice, but somehow
get support and take time. Yeah. My coach last year, I loved when she said, do you know what, Evelyne, I think you just need support. You just need to hire a nanny.
Yeah.
She said, you know, I think we could coach on this forever, but it's not coaching. You need the coaching. It's not going to make it better because you still need somebody to cook and to do the washing.
Right.
And that's exactly the frustration I had run into. I'm a coach. I have coaching. I believe in coaching. I'm getting coached left, right, and center. I've got coaching coming out my ears and my vagina, but that doesn't mean that my household is working.
No.
You know, so It's really good stuff. Some of this stuff isn't rocket science. Sometimes you just need to do the things you need to do. And coaching is very, very powerful because it's the process in which you realize what's what.
Yes. Yeah.
See, without the coaching, you go through life and just resign to what you think is.
Yes.
And coaching is this reflective, wonderful, miraculous space where we can make sense out of what is and therefore change the course of fate. Yeah. And for my clients specifically as well, it's because they are aware of what's going on and how their default setting is operating, what tune they're playing and repeating all the time. As long as they're doing that, nothing's changing. But when I can show them what it is and they start seeing it, then they can make very different choices. And then I can show them what those choices look like. One of my clients says, it's so great because you have this language I didn't have of how to, for example, speak to someone when I need to say what I want.
Yeah.
And it's easy for me as a coach to give him the language because I'm trained in this, but you haven't. And if it's your stuff, then that's what I call your end of the world moments. It's literally, you can't think further than that because you haven't gone further than that.
No.
Coaching is so golden because it takes you from the edges of your own world and then stretches it. And that means possibilities open up. Yes. And new paths and new things will become available. And it's just such a phenomenal process. So coaching is wonderful. We're all for it. And sometimes you just need to go to the spa.
Yeah, exactly. Like just very, very practical thing. And you just need to.
That's why I take my clients to the spa.
To the spa. Absolutely.
Yeah. I do VIP days with me. They're in the spa.
I know, and it's just interesting because in the health space, I have like a lot of people come like, I want nutrition, I want recipes, but I said, well, how many times you've already tried this? I think 7 times. Like, so we have to do something different, right? So I meet them where they are, but my always piece is going to be to the thoughts, to the mindset, to get them out of the cravings, out of all of that. Before we can build in on and add on any tools. And sometimes they are very resistant because they never thought like that. And as you say, I want to show them their thoughts and question and give them a new thought they can practice. And I think it's it has been very important for me during my coaching, but then now that's what I do. And I don't want to be nutritionist giving people plans when they don't necessarily will be consistent with them and then they don't like it, whatever. I mean, it's just, it applies to any area of our life, to be honest. Okay, and 2 more things. One thing I wanted to ask you about, sometimes you show up without the makeup and all of that. What is all about that?
I do? How do you know that? Yes, I do. Sometimes I show up without the makeup, and sometimes I show up with quite a bit of makeup.
Yes, yeah. So that's the thing, that you have both, right? So we can really full on. Yeah. And sometimes we have no makeup and just simple clothes and all of that. And I found it, I started to practice that because it's like, for me, it's a kind of detaching from that image of yourself, of a certain expectation, and that I can be both, right?
Yeah. And then for me, it's not that dual. There is also like today I have a little bit of makeup on. I'm not without anything. There's also, and sometimes you have a bit on. So I think we live in really exciting times where we have the freedom to decide what our brand is.
Yes.
So I come from the pop world, right? So branding and image is something that I've grown up with. If you're a pop star, you have a brand. We know what Britney Spears looks like. We know what Madonna looks and feels like. We know what Coca-Cola is. So I know the world of branding, and I also worked in licensing. So branding is when you have something that has a limited set of characteristics that you can instantly recognize. And so if you have a pop star, you have a brand of musician.
Yeah.
Okay? Britney Spears, you know what that looks and feels like. If it suddenly acts very different, you're like, what's that? What was that? What? It's etc. pp. Okay. So I noticed that I found it very difficult for myself to decide what my brand was going to be and then to stick with it. Because the thing about Evelyne, that's me, is that she changes and grows all the time and she hates being told what to do. I speak about Evelyne now in third person because that kind of gives you an idea of how I relate to the different aspects in myself.
Yeah.
So as much as one part of Evelyne goes, oh, that makes sense, like make her a brand, because she's such a, like she can easily be some sort of celebrity thing. I make her this personality and then go up that way. And then that's what you are, because that's who you are. We all know it, Evelyne. Yes, do it. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And then the next day, I'm this other Evelyne that really likes sitting at home and do very little and not like makeup, blah, blah, blah. And so then it becomes difficult to know, who am I? Am I this personality that's out there, unashamed, confidence, unleashed, unhinged? Or am I really this introverted, quiet woman that has very little to say and a lot to just sit? Or am I the writer, the deep, reflective one that puts messages across? Or am I indeed the performer that puts these messages, brings them to life? Or am I just another mum, tired and exhausted at the school gate on a Wednesday afternoon, thinking, is this all there is to my life? Am I a driver, a nappy changer, you know, and etc. people. Yeah. So I noticed that it's hard for me to brand myself on one thing, because it turns out I have this condition. It's a medical condition. It's a fatal condition, and we all have it. It's called being human. And it includes changing all the freaking time. So yes. I'm excited to say that we live in times now where we get to decide ourselves who we want to be and how we show up. And so I've made a very deliberate choice to make my brand in the outside world so wide that it includes the space for Evelyne to show up in all her different guises and ways and beings.
Yeah.
Because I know that's the only way that I can create some sort of consistency for people to understand me. And the good thing is that more and more people get this and then feel utterly relieved to meet me and go like, oh, thank God you're so real. Thank God you're not like this. Because when I glam up and I look all fabulous, yes, it's wonderful. I like it. And I hope people like it. And then you can look at me and go like, oh my God, I guess so pretty. And I'm like, right, I'm totally so pretty. I'm so pretty. And now I think I have to be pretty all the time, because otherwise you'll think, you're not that pretty. Is that horror, right? It's like, oh,
it is a horror.
Not that pretty. I thought you were so pretty, but you're not that pretty. And this attachment is really unhealthy. I don't have the capacity to do my hair every day like that and put on all my nice clothes. Like, ugh. So I think it's very liberating. Other people think it's liberating. Even if they didn't, doesn't matter. It is literally the way I choose to be, because it's only the way I can be, to be human. I'm very grateful that we live in times where that is easy, acceptable. I'm not the first one and not the only one who does it. And I'm always grateful when people recognize it and say, oh my God, Evelyne, it's really nice. I can relate. And I know that you can relate easier to me if I don't look like a queen every day. Because nobody does. Because you who is listening or watching, you don't look like a queen every. I mean, okay, you do, but you don't. But you do, but not you. You get me. And that doesn't mean we can't be total queens. It's wonderful, because that's the other thing. Then you've got quite a lot of women or people who then go, fuck it, I'm just going to be me. I'm not going to do accents now. I'm just going to be me, right? I don't need all the glamour and the makeup. This is what I am, all right? What you get is what you see, and that's all I need. I'm just going to show up as myself. The people who like it, like it. The people who don't like it, but I'm just going to be myself. And to me, that's another limitation. Because A, there's no such thing as a fixed self, and B, look, it's really wonderful to glam up.
Absolutely.
If it's not your thing, don't do it, because Evelyne likes it. But a lot of us women love it. I love being fabulous. I love that you're wearing a sparkly hat. I love being fabulous. So let's be fabulous. Let's really use this life to be fabulous. Have a fabulous video background. Be bold, be brave, be iconic, be superstars. If that turns you on, it happens to turn me on. I'm going to give that to myself. And I'm not going to make it the next freaking thing to enslave myself to and self-sacrifice myself to.
Absolutely.
No, thank you. So that was my sermon on that. Was that satisfactory?
That was brilliant. I think a lot of women can relate, because sometimes that's what stops us for showing up. Like, oh, I don't have this makeup and the hair and everything else. I still want it. So you have to make a decision whether you want it or not for yourself. And then just don't, think that, oh, this I don't know, Julia's gonna like me and maybe Eva is not gonna like me. Like, it's just crazy. We put ourselves in those cages. So
I used to not make videos because my nails weren't done.
yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I'd go like, oh, I would like to do this video, but I can't because my nails aren't done. So I'm going to get my nails done. And then it's like, oh, okay, I've got my nails done, but my hair's not quite right. Okay, so next week I'll do my hair and then I'll do the video. And then actually, you know what I need is lashes. So I got myself fake lashes so I can really look superstar. And it's really hard to do lashes. It's so annoying. And then they kind of, I've got this lazy eye and then it's, so I have to wait till I have enough sleep, then get the lashes right. By that time, my roots have grown out again. It's like a constant game of
constant, and you never do it because it's never good for you. And it's just like, but I've, you know.
And then on the day that it is, Monica, then there's the one day that it's all comes together and I don't know what to say.
Exactly.
It's kind of lost the match. I've lost the moment.
Hi. Like what I wanted to say, I can't remember anymore because my whole energy went to preparation and everything.
I just looked pretty and I thought I'd come on here and look pretty, but that's basically all I got right now. Sorry about that. Anyway, see you.
I know, it's hilarious. And I feel like, you know, why are we doing this to ourselves? Especially that you have important message and you want to impact the people and you know, really doesn't matter if
I can tell you why we do this to ourselves. I mean, that's what I work with people on, right?
Yes. Yeah. Evelyne can help you with that if you feel like you don't know and you want to be visible and show up. Evelyne can help you for sure. So there's a really good transition to where people can find you. Evelyne has an amazing website. So go people and check her out. She has amazing TEDx talk, which is like a musical kind of thing, like because she sings a lot in there. So it's brilliant to read, to watch. You are absolutely glam up and beautiful. And yes. So tell us where people can.
Where can you find me? So first of all, you might want to know, like, why would you want to find me?
Yeah.
So if you want to build a business or you're running a business and you notice that your leadership could really do with more visibility and more impact, then I'm the person to come to, because I'll help you how to speak up, speak out, speak free, and speak true.
Yeah.
And I've got a course called True Impact, which is about finding that sweet spot between your influence, your authenticity, there's that word again, and your message. When we hit the sweet spot of those things, that's when we build true impact. And that's what we need to have to move the needle of your business, to generate more income, to get people engaged, for them to want to be around you.
Yeah.
And every leader needs that, right? On some level or another. There's never an end to I've got impact, I don't need it. No, we all grow on that path. And so I've got this wonderful course that stretches you in that regard. When it comes to this free and true expression of who am I, what do I want to say, and how do I want to say it to people so that actually gets to people, they get me and they notice me, then Evelyne is the person to come to. That's me. One thing I'm really proud of saying is that when somebody says, have you met Evelyne Brink? And they go, that's a no. You haven't. Have you met, like, if you've met me, if you've heard of me, you know you've heard of me, or you've met me. Yeah. Because I know that the way I show up is so me.
Yeah.
If you don't know whether you've met me, you haven't met me.
Yes.
And I want that for everybody.
Yeah.
So you should never have to say, Monica, I don't know if I met her or not. No, it's like, I know exactly who you mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly who you mean.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you need that for your business, that we absolutely know who you are from meeting you once, from watching one of your videos.
Yes.
Then that's the piece that I help people with, this standing out, becoming the essence of yourself when others are watching. You already are who you are. You're already wonderful who you are. But to be really the best of you when others are watching, when the camera is on, that's where I can help you. That's the first reason why people come to me. And then the secondary reason why people come to me is the business by pleasure piece, where they say, okay, Evelyne, I've got a business, I'm doing really well, but I'm working way too hard on it. And all these things you talked about, pleasure and trusting myself. She's really not really what I know. And you need to up level with yes, thinking, and B, trusting, and C, all this wonderful new way of handling business, which is not from this masculine trajectory of achieving, goal-oriented, ticking boxes, becoming hyper-productive, and then pretending that you're doing it in a feminine. I'm doing it in a feminine way. I have my moon calendar and I do lots of achieving on the 3rd week of the month and no achieving on the 1st week of the month. And then I write it all down over my task list. And then I'm like, okay, so you just dress the whole thing up. Cute. You're still freaking planning around the clock and sticking post-it notes everywhere and then doing what it says on them. That's, if you love it, great, but that's still a very masculine way of working versus trusting your intuition, actually figuring out who you are and what you are at the moment, and going in a more feminine flow. So if you have a business, you find yourself working way too hard and you want to learn how to create or build or leverage your business from the pleasure perspective, then that is something that people come to me for one-to-one coaching or retreats. And that's the reason why they come. So where do they come to? You find me on my website. The one that you said was Lush, which thank you so much. It's called evelynbrink.com, EVELYNE.
N-E, yes.
BRINKNE. It's like the French spelling. evelynbrink.com. That's my website. I have Instagram, Evelyne Brink. I have TikTok by now. I just started TikTok, and which is an interesting new thing for me, because the Instagram is my Instagram. Go watch my Instagram. It's really pretty. It's so pretty, and I'm so proud because it's like so pretty and beautiful. And then someone said, Evelyne, just go do TikTok because you need to unleash somewhere all the crazy stuff. Where do you put it? Because my Instagram is like so pretty. And I thought that's actually a good idea. So I do some more wild, unhinged things on TikTok that might be totally unrelated to everything, but they're my expressions. Facebook's getting a bit boring for me. I'm on LinkedIn. But just go to the website. If I can, I've created quite a few free things for people to just start. So for example, there is an impact assessment. How impactful are you as a leader? That's on my website under impact coaching or true impact. Go take the assessment. It's free. You can see where you stand, assess yourself, get a score. And then I write not every week, because that's another I write every week on a Thursday. No, I don't. But I write, and when I write, I make sure it's from the heart or from the womb or wherever it's from, but I write, and it'll be valuable content about how to be more free, more expressed, have more pleasure, be more alive, make more money, and have a good time. Right. So if you like that, come on the newsletter, be served. I've got some books you can buy. You'll find all of that on the website. I think the website.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna just put the links into show notes. There's a lot of really useful materials, so people will be able to find you there.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right, so brilliant. Thank you very much. It was fascinating. It was funny. It was entertaining, inspirational for sure. And yeah, thank you very much for coming here and talking to us today.
Thank you very much, Monica. It's been a pleasure and a privilege, and I hope everyone got massive value from it. Feel free to write me an email and ask questions, or tell Monica how wonderful she is. Provide this podcast. Your podcast is a very generous thing to provide.
Yeah.
The amount of time you put in to get your guests on, to then edit the thing, to publish the thing, to let people know about it. This is all things that you do on your own time. Nobody pays you for it.
Nope.
It's very, very generous. So I'm grateful to you, and I'm sure everybody who listens to also is, because it's like very, very generous of you. So thank you for having me on and bringing this to the world.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you very much.